Sweden's planning a floating hotel. A team of Swedish architects have unveiled plans to construct a floating luxury hotel. The Arctic Bath and Spa Hotel will be placed on the LULE River in Harads village, northern Sweden. It will be frozen into the river during the winter and float the rest of the year. The hotel's log cabins will also be placed on the river and will freeze or float depending on the time of year. Inhabitat reports the guests may be able to catch the northern lights, also called Aurora Borealis, from the hotel. And it could potentially be open for business this year. More stuff that floats.
Norway plans submerged floating tunnels to make driving easier. The floating underwater tunnel you see here could be the solution to Norway's transportation challenges. Norway is known for its beautiful fjords, the deep inlets of ocean that form between its high cliffs. But getting over one means taking a ferry, and that can add hours to a car trip. Because fjords can be up to a mile deep, building a bridge over the waterway or tunnel underneath is not very practical. Norway's engineers think they have the answer. They want to float concrete tunnels 100 feet below the ocean's surface. This would allow ships to sail unobstructed by bridges. That's because floating pontoons would hold the concrete tunnels in place. At the moment, engineers are crunching the numbers on the ambitious $25 billion project. If all goes to plan, the world could get its first floating underwater tunnel by the year 2035. A luxury life on the open seas. The residents of an opulent cruise ship, dubbed the most exclusive floating city on the planet, are pretty picky about who they will allow to be their neighbors. According to one apartment owner, even billionaire Oprah Winfrey wouldn't be welcome aboard because residents don't want the paparazzi following them around. The World is the largest residential yacht on Earth. The ship is 196 meters long and has 12 decks that contain 165 apartments. It has a golf center, a 650 square meter gym and spa, and is the only ship in the world with a full-size tennis court. Apartments range from $3 million to $10 million US. Residents must have a net worth of at least $10 million, and apartments are sold by invitation only. The ship flies the Bahamas flag. It has traveled 641,000 nautical miles since its launch in 2002, the equivalent of 30 times around the Earth. The World docked in Hong Kong earlier this month and was scheduled to visit Taiwan before crossing the Pacific. 3 times a year, the ship travels to visit some of the most remote regions on Earth. This year, the vessel has already visited the Ross Sea in Antarctica and Melanesia near New Guinea. According to CNN, stepping aboard the World feels like boarding a 21st century Titanic, such as its scale and grandeur. Well, we all know how that worked out, now don't we? Solar-powered floating farms could help feed the world. Barcelona-based company Forward Thinking Architecture has developed a solar-powered floating farm system that could ease growing global food demand. Smart Floating Farms, or SFF, was inspired by traditional grid-shaped fish farms in Asia. Each SFF is 200 meters wide and 350 meters long, roughly the size of 6 football fields. They can be connected to form a cluster of modules. Photovoltaic panels are installed on the top level to harvest sunlight for electricity, and it has rainwater collectors for irrigation purposes. Other renewable energy technologies such as micro-wind turbines may also be added. The second level is a greenhouse for the vegetables, which are grown without soil under the hydroponic system. The plants receive natural light from the skylight openings. The ground level is used as a fish farm on the open sea and features a fish egg hatchery, a slaughterhouse, and a storage room for the fish. By using farms in nearby waters as a food source, the SFF can help reduce reliance on imported food. All the modules are centrally controlled by software via cloud technology. The production data will be analyzed and can be used to make comparisons on the food needs for specific cities. Each SFF is estimated to have a maximum production of just over 8 tons of vegetables and slightly over 1.7 tons of fish per year. The floating farms are ideal for densely populated cities near coastal areas, such as Los Angeles, New York, Tokyo, Singapore, and Hong Kong. As the world's population increases, food demand is expected to increase 50% by 2030 and 70% by 2050. Someday, we might live on floating islands. The Maritime Research Institute Netherlands is testing the concept of building artificial floating islands to expand the amount of livable space for the country's growing population. The islands would be made up of large floating triangles that connect to each other in a flexible fashion. The island could be 5 kilometers wide. The floating space could be used for housing and public infrastructure, and support renewable energy systems, such as wind and solar energy farms. There are many challenges to this concept. It is still unknown how the floating megastructure would withstand winds and ocean currents. Nonetheless, some believe the Dutch research is a good starting point.